All right. Welcome to our relaunch training. Everything kind of feels like a work in progress right now, but I really thank you all for tuning in and catching up with us and tracking along with where we are at, and just appreciate your patience as we get this figured out and get things up and running again. Super thankful to have so much support and energy from all of you to get this going again, and I'm super appreciative of the other ladies we have here tonight, Anna and Jess. They have been absolutely instrumental, feet on the ground, helping make this happen in ways that I just cannot do with two little kids at home right now. So thank you to the two of them for helping make this happen. Yeah, we're excited to get things going again. I'm super excited just to be serving our kids in this way. So if my PowerPoint will work, there we go. Our vision for the kids is we exist to build passion for Christ through discipleship. And we want to do that even for the youngest people in our church, which is our kids. We want them to know the Bible. We want them to know who God is. We want them to know who He's created them to be. And we want them to be able to we want to empower families in systematically teaching scripture, Genesis to Revelation, helping families to be able to go through the entire Bible with their kids and be able to know how all of the stories throughout scripture point to Christ, point to Him. So we are continuing to use the Gospel Project because it does a really great job of that in just teaching the word so that families can continue building on those conversations at home as well. And we want to provide a community of friendships for our kids with each other, but our kids ministry also provides community for our kids with other people in our church. They get to know a lot of adults and teenagers in our church that they probably wouldn't know if they weren't in class. So it's a great opportunity to be building in community for them as well, and to be able to provide some great connections for them. So we are really excited to get things up and going again, and it's coming really soon. So Jess is going to tell you a little bit more about what to expect in our kids.
Hello, I'm Jessica. So right now we are expecting between 4 to 8 kids in just our one classroom that we're holding. The classrooms will be from grade 1st to 5th. And we don't expect to hold more than 8 kids for right now. Once we get a bigger number of kids, we'll split off those ages or those grades into separate classrooms, so there'd be enough space for all the children. And those would be pre-K and then the higher elementary.
Awesome. And Anna's going to tell us about where our class is at.
So our class is going to be on the, what is that considered? The left wing. So as soon as you walk into the church, it is the left side of the building where our other classes have been held. But it is the back classroom where pre-K used to be. It's called the, I don't know, checkered room,
Tile room.
Tile room, just black and white tile, but it's going to be a really great classroom.
Yeah. Once we get this elementary class going, our hope is then we can scale up to getting a pre-K class going as well in the not too distant future. We have kind of 2 different plans that could happen to make that happen. Either we get an additional, have an elementary leader and a pre-K leader in the same room and have 2 small groups in there, or ideally, if we can pull on enough assistants and another teacher, I think we need yet. If we can pull those people on, we'll split into 2 separate classrooms. So we'll have an elementary classroom and a pre-K classroom again, like we used to have. That is the hope. We don't have a date on that, but that is the direction that we are headed in. As to nursery, I'm not sure when that'll get going again. Right now, that's not where our need is in terms of kids that we have. I'm pretty sure Ansley, our little one, might actually be the only 0 to 2 age group kiddo, or close to the only one. So right now it's not a huge need. And it's also a complicated age in terms of COVID precautions and whatnot. So we're holding off on that age group for now, but as need builds or complications and being able to do that age group ease up, then we'll get that started too. So supplies.
So with supplies, we are going to provide all the materials needed for the day, so you don't have to go in and out of the classroom. All the toys will be disinfected, not that they will be necessarily used for that age group, but they are in there. So if you need crayons for the day or any kind of crafting material, those will be already in the classroom, most likely in a cubby or in your area as the teacher or the leader. There are also supplies, sorry about that, outside the classroom if needed. I'm not sure how that's going to run. If, you know, they need to let us know in the hallway, like, hey, we need something, we ran out.
Sure.
But that's where the supplies are typically held. The extra ones are in the cabinet outside of that classroom.
Yep.
So for our COVID precautions, we are going to look a little bit similar to what the schools are doing right now. So we will have the check-in area, and all children and teachers and assistant teachers and check-in hallway and security, everybody will be wearing a mask. We will have hand sanitizer and sanitized wipes available for anybody to use. Before each child enters the classroom, there will be mask available for them if they did not bring one, because we will require that everybody in the classroom will be wearing a mask. We also have spread out the room a lot more so that there's a lot more space for them to move and not be overcrowded or on top of each other, giving them about 2 to 3 feet each of their own work area, along with enough carpet area and tile area for all the kids to sit on the floor, again, not crowded on top of each other. With that being said, we're also going to try to aim to have every child have their own individual cubby, so that the supplies that they use will specifically be for them, and that they won't have to share other supplies, or they won't have to get disinfected every week, and so that our supplies are getting recycled every single week. This would be one that applies for this student at all times. And we will also probably have cubby areas set aside for their personal belongings, so that they don't have to either be like on the table if there's that room, or be laying around. We want to make sure that their stuff is individually set to the side, and that they have all of their own supplies.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess, for getting that set up for everybody. It's awesome. In terms of policy stuff that I just want to remind everybody of as we get back into the classroom, it's been over a year since we've had these kids together. So this is our class rules, and there's a really good chance that they have forgotten them. There's a really good chance all of us have forgotten them. So I just wanted to remind everybody of some really key stuff that we want to just be consistent on from week to week, so that the kids know what to expect when they come to the classroom. So our class rules in there are respect God, the leaders, and each other with our mouth, our attitude, and our actions. And use kind words and stay with your class. Those are the essential class rules that we've had, and we are keeping those. In addition to that, now we just have to remind the kids the masks stay over their nose and mouth. Though for the most part, kids are really great about that. Any of our kids that have been in school, they're used to that. That's how things have been everywhere that they've been. Sports, everything, that's the requirement. So this isn't foreign for them. I don't expect it to be a big problem with any of them, but it might just need to be a reminder every so often, like, hey, nose and mouth, we're going to keep that covered. Discipline, we want to be doing that in a calm, loving, and non-physical way, as we have outlined below. If you are having trouble with a kiddo, always our first step is just to redirect their energy, remind them of expectations. Again, it's been over a year since we've been together, so they just might be really excited to be together again and more talkative, or just not used to what our rules have been like. For some of our kids, they haven't been back in a classroom yet. Some of them have been home this entire time and doing school from home. So it's just a different it could be a different environment again for some of them than they've been used to for a really long time. So just an attitude of grace and reminding them of just what expectations are. And one of my favorite things with kids is just to use proximity. That means I'm just going to use my own presence to be a reminder. So I might come up and like tap a kiddo on a shoulder or sit right next to them if they're having a problem, or just pointing to the front or something like that. Doing those things as an assistant in the classroom can be a really big help in keeping kids focused towards the front, and can really stop a lot of problems before they become anything bigger. If a kiddo is continuing to have issues, we're going to give them a direct verbal warning. Again, assume ignorance, assume they just don't know the rule, be exceedingly gracious. Things usually go over a whole lot better with kids when, instead of accusing them of something, you just give them a little bit more grace and say, hey, just a reminder, we want to be quiet while somebody's teaching up front, something like that. So kindly remind them of what is expected. And you can also remind them, hey, if you continue to have a problem like this, you're going to need to take a break next. But I know you know what to do. You can get back on the right track. Let's pay attention. So you remind them of what's coming if they don't get on a better track, but keep it positive. And most kids are going to get back on the right track. But also, if you get to the step where you're giving a kid a verbal reminder or a verbal warning because they're getting a little bit out of line, reevaluate the environment. Take a moment to take a pause for yourself and just check the room. Like, is there something about the room? Is there something about the person sitting next to them? Or is there some item that's distracting them? Or just reevaluate those things. Is there any little thing that you could change that might keep the problem from happening again? And if you can change something small like that, like sitting next to a kid who's having a problem, or removing a toy that's a problem or something like that, do that first. And that can really help in keeping things from going any further. But if problems continue, we take a break, a timeout, whatever you want to call it. But the attitude again is just like, what a bummer, you need to take a break. So they're going to be separate from the class. Jess has set up a separate area, just a chair that they can chill out in. That's in your view. They can stay there for as many minutes as they are old. So just if you have a phone, you can set a timer real quick, like, hey, set my timer for 5 minutes, and set it away, and you don't have to worry about remembering to let them back out or the end of the time, because your timer will let you know. Before they rejoin the group though, it's a really good idea to take a minute to practice a redo. If it's picking on their neighbor that caused their problem, that put them into that chair in the first place, then we're going to practice, how could we get a pen from our neighbor without causing a problem? Right now they're not sharing supplies. How could we say hi to the person sitting next to us without causing a problem? And practice that. Give them a chance to practice a redo, or make any apologies that they need to make before they go back into the group again. Because discipline is about teaching, it's about discipleship. That's the whole spirit of it. So if we're cutting out the opportunity to have actually learned something, we're not really teaching them anything. So we want to take that moment, give that extra moment, just to pause and teach them, practice a redo, give them a chance to make an apology before they re-enter the group, and then letting them be back with the group again, giving them that grace. This is a really awesome role for assistants to really step into. It's a lot harder for the teacher at the head of the classroom if they're in the middle of a lesson to do this. But this is a great way that assistants can really step up and help things to run smoothly in the classroom, especially while the lesson is going on. Third step would be if they're continuing to have problems, they've already had a break in the classroom and problems are continuing for them, they might just need to come out of the classroom that day. And so you would let whoever's in the hallway, which could be myself, Anna, or Jess, you would let the person who's in the hallway know, and we would get that kiddo to their parents for that day. It's not a huge deal. I've had one of my own kids come back to me a few times, not to say any names for Hyla. But it happens and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. She still adores her teachers that she had in that room. She loved those people. It's not like you're ruining the relationship with them. It's just you're setting, this is the expectation. Not meeting it today. So I'm sorry, but you can't be in the classroom today, but next week we'll try again. And it's okay to do that. Absolutely okay. And we will work with you on that. Anna is going to talk a little bit about how our class is going to hold up. Not yet. I forgot I have one more slide. And other things. We are hoping for everybody to come at 10 o'clock. Try to be there at 10. The reason we say to come at 10, even though we don't have kiddos yet then, is it gives you a chance to gather whatever supplies you need for your lesson that day. Just double check, make sure you have what you need in the room before you have kids there. It gives you a chance to make sure that the technology is running smoothly. Technology is unpredictable. Sometimes it decides to not run smoothly. So it just gives you a chance to make sure that everything's working, you know how to make it work, that you have everything that you need. As kids trickle into the classroom between 10 and 10:30, that's a great time to do the very beginning of the lesson. It's called, they call it welcome time, and they give you an activity page. Those are the first two things that are in every lesson. That's a great time to do those things. Just welcome time, activity page. Those are great activities for that time while kids are just trickling in. And then we'll aim to do session starter activities actually at 10:30 when the main service is starting. That's when we should aim to get started in the classroom too. We are still functioning under the 2 leader rule. That policy is not going away. We expect there to be 2 leaders in every classroom, 2 unrelated leaders in every classroom. There's a few reasons that we do that. For one, not ever being alone with the kids is good for your liability. If kids ever were to make an accusation against any one of our leaders, we have another adult in the classroom who's been a witness to what's happened and can say something was off, or can say, no, absolutely nothing happened. I don't know what they're talking about, but it's good liability for you to be able to have another adult in the classroom who can say that. It's also good protection for our kids. Unfortunately, churches are places that predators love because it puts them in a position of trust with kids. And so we want to avoid a situation where we ever have an adult alone with a kid because it just prevents bad situations from happening. So it's a way that we can protect our kids too. So twofold reason that we have that 2 leader rule and we are sticking with it. It's tough right now since we are so small, and it feels a little ridiculous when we are so small and don't have that many kids to have 2 leaders back there all the time, but there is a purpose for it. There is a reason for it, and we are sticking with that. One other thing to remind everyone of is our kids will officially be checked in and out. That's another really important thing just for safety that we do. So all of our kids are going to be checked in the hallway. Again, it's going to be me, Anna, or Jess who are out in that hallway. Every child will be checked in. And every child will get checked back out at the end. Right now, we're a little fuzzy on what the end is going to look like, because if you've noticed lately, we have a food program that is working out of that same hallway now, which is much different than a year and a half ago when we were last doing kids classes. So that's going to make things look a little different. And it's kind of a work in progress for us as we figure that out and figure out how to continue to check out safely and work with the other things that are also going on in that same hallway. So know that it's a work in progress. Know that we will officially check kids out, and we will let you know when kids can go from the classroom and who can go. So just count on that and know that they really do have to be checked out. So I think now that's everything I have. Now you can talk, Anna.
Awesome, thank you. So as Kelly said, there will be the welcome pages, the starters. So between 10 and 10:30, if you do have kids that early, to get them just working on that activity page. And then once 10:30 rolls around, you really want to jump into the session starter. There are, when at least I was teaching, a year and a half ago, there was a couple different activities, and there would be pages or activities put into our like file folders. So then we would just get those out. But with this, there are going to be set activities, probably in the cubbies, as Jess mentioned. Oh, I apologize for the cat.
I'm enjoying it.
And you want to get those rolling. I believe then there is a time. Is there still videos to watch with the kids? Okay.
Yep.
So once the session starter goes over, you want to do the video with the kids, get the discussion questions going. Those are really great. It gets the kids' minds thinking, and because it makes them want to learn more about the things that are what are they called, the chapters that we're learning about in the Bible. And then there are other pages or other activities that go along with that, and right after the video and after your discussion questions. And do you guys do the songs towards the beginning or the end?
So it's right as it's written in. It looks like in the lesson that I have open right now, it goes from the video to, in the elementary level, they also have questions from kids video and a missions moments, and then it has the key passage, which has a song, and it has the worship song, and then they pray and go to their discussion activities.
Yeah, that sounds relatively close to what the preschoolers were doing. We had a little bit more activities, not as much discussion time because it was a little harder to keep their attention.
A little bit different.
Yeah, but I would say following the book fairly well will get you all the way through that, hour and a half, if Brian is still talking. We know how he loves to talk, and we very much enjoy it. But following the book for that section that day will help you out immensely.
Yep. And one thing that's different for the elementary leaders this time around is you have the kids from beginning to end now. We're not going into worship in the main service. So because we're not doing worship in the main service, we are doing the worship songs that are written into the curriculum. Those will be there. They're on the discs along with the videos that you were used to doing before. There's also a worship song on there. So we'll be doing those in the classroom with the kids now. So
the worship songs that at least the preschoolers were doing were really nice. They were super cute, and they might be leveled up for the 1st through 5th graders, but they are really awesome.
Yeah, I've heard their music before, and I'm impressed with it. So I think our kids will enjoy this different pace this summer. So yeah. All right, I think that's probably everything from you, Anna. Yeah. All right. So just to close out, we are working on the curriculum and actually getting that to you in hand. If we don't have the books in your hand yet, expect that you will get an email from me that has your lesson for the week in it. I do have the first couple lessons here at my house, so I can send those out to people if needed. And another thing to expect sometime in the near future is we will probably be redoing everybody's background checks. We have a new system for that. And so we want to get all of our old volunteers onto our new system too. So expect some contact about that sometime in the near future so that we can get those up to date for everyone as well as we get going. So that's everything that we have for our short little relaunch. We are very excited to get back into the classroom. We're excited to be seeing these kids again. We're excited to see what God has been doing in their hearts in this time away, and what he's going to continue to do as we get back together again. It's exciting. So, woohoo! All right, that's everything we have. We are very excited to see you guys all on Sunday mornings. If you ever have a question on Sunday morning, you can ask any one of us, and we will find the answer for you as best we can. And if they're not sure of the answers, they will come find me and I will do the best I can. I'm not always going to be in the hallway because 2 little kids. that are, one of which is usually always attached to me. But we will make things happen. So thank you for your time. Thank you for catching up on this. And yeah, we're excited to make this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.